toss out your favorite piece, poem, project from week 10 of ModPo. So we're going to start with Sophia, with Lainey on deck.
Okay. Mine is Skywritings.
Nasser Hussain. Quickly, why?
Because I appreciate thinking about the impossible trips and barriers for mobility and all these things in the wake of the pandemic is also very interesting.
Yeah, and if we do talk more about this, we should consider the sort of the whole large question of postmodernity at airports and that whole thing of being in transit somewhere by air and being limited and constrained by that. There's just so much interesting and also very popular art about it. Really interesting topic. So Nasser was really working on something. Lainey Brown, followed by Jason. Best favorite thing?
I think I'm going to be the first one, but not the last, to say Erica Baum.
Erica Baum.
Because poetry is everywhere. And your work reminds me of that, even with the story of the table behind you. Because when I first saw your image, I thought, what is this work of art behind Erica? Where is she? Is that a gallery in her house? So just that ability to remind us of the poetry of the card catalog and
dog ear. I'm holding up a really beautiful edition. I just love it. Of dog ear. I mean, who would have thought? Take some books, maybe Erica can explain, maybe books that you didn't intend to read or some old books you found somewhere, and then dog ear a page and take a photograph and create an almost but not quite unreadable found poem. Jason's up for a favorite item, followed by Dave.
Yeah, I was going to pick Erica's dog ears also, but since that was just taken, also I had the amazing.
This is your way of getting two, right?
Erica read the dog ears, to which they were quite legible. But I will go with Tracy Morris, all of her voice works.
Yeah, good suggestion. I'm going to play 20 seconds of Chain Gang.
Same block, same sound, same. Doesn't that get sitting on the same chain go, same sound, same sound, same chain gang, same sound, same man, same sound, chain gang, same sound, same chain gang, same sound, chain gang.
I'm feeling a ton of energy from the person sitting to my left. Did you want to add a word?
Every time I hear Tracy Morris perform, I'm amazed at how much she just gives over to the sound. Like, at no point does it feel like she's anticipating what's about to come out. She's in a totally fluid place where the text that she's working with, whatever the original text is, she's opened herself up to the musicality, like, embedded within that text, and it flows in just such an incredible way.
It's super hard to do. You know, there's a point where sound of the man, we've got that, and then we've got a TikTok happening, and the sound of the man TikTok becomes several times the word semantics. And, you know, that just happened. But of course, that is a meta-poetic moment. It's just, oh my God. So this I want to turn to Dave next, and with Gabby on deck. This just suggests something really fundamental to week 10, which is, on one hand, you can do this too. You can really do this, right? Or even week 9, you can do this too. On the other hand, virtuosity. Because Tracy's almost the only person we know who can do what she does. Or Christian Buck making the, using the same vowel in words and having it make sense and spending years trying to make that work. You have to really do a high wire act to pull off that kind of thing. So it's this combination of those two things. Dave, your favorite, followed by Gabby?
I like Pledge, and not just the Mike McGee one, but I want to focus on the Leanne Brown one, and also the discussion at ModPo Plus between you, Al, and Lainey Brown, and Leanne Brown, which I thought was great. And I like this for a couple reasons. One is because it's not just a take on the Pledge of Allegiance, but also the Brownie Pledge.
Yes,
which
that's right. Doesn't
I think
Leanne do the Brownie Pledge? That's right. It was a
yeah, which I think is especially appropriate by Leanne Brown and in discussion with Lainey Brown. But also,
too many
I just
browns.
love
Brownies, brown. I get it.
the concept of pledges of allegiance to a country that claims to be so individualist is kind of a hilarious thing. It always reminds me of the Monty Python movie Life of Brian when he's screaming to the mob, "You must think for yourselves," and they all answer in unison, "Yes, we must all think for ourselves." So,
love it. Love that. My friends here are incapable of finding this.
It's right here, Albert.
Okay, would you?
No one's incapable.
Okay. Only one of us is incapable. Amber, we do have a database, by the way. You could have gone to that right now. But okay. Ambrose, would you just read a stanza from Leanne Brown's pledge?
The first stanza?
Yeah, whatever you like.
I pledge allergy to the flail of the United States of Amigo, and to the reputation for which it stands, one national park under Godmother, indivisible, with lice and kebab for allegiance.
Love it. Lice got replaced the same way it did with Rosemary Waldrop in the Declaration of Independence. And under Godmother? Or is it grandmother?
Godmother.
Oh, Godmother. Holy cow. Thank you. Gabby, followed by Max.
Sure, yeah. My choice is going to be Carolyn Bergvall's Via, which is a poem I love. And if I may make a somewhat selfish plug, I just this morning published an essay with Jacket 2 that features a section on Via. So I'm sort of in its camp at the moment.
Gabby, your critical writing is so lucid and good. We should
Thank
all go find that at Jacket 2. And Sophia's making a note. Yes, we should. Here's Chris, 15 seconds or 30 of the great Caroline.
Along the journey of our life, halfway, I found myself again in a dark wood, wherein the straight road no longer lay. Dale, 1996. At the midpoint in the journey of our life, I found myself astray in a dark wood, for the straight path had vanished. Creef and Hollander, 1989.
Gabby, say a word. Anything.
For me, this is just like a poem where loss is an environment and you kind of really sit in it and you stay in that environment of loss. And there's something sort of pleasurable at the same time as it is deeply anxious.
Do you think there's a relationship between being lost, and loss, suffering loss?
Oh, yeah.
I figured
but I
there
can't
was.
say more without you pushing into my, clicking on the link into my essay. I'm kidding,
Oh,
but
did I
do.
guess a topic? Yeah. I mean, I think it's really
yeah.
Say a word or two about that. That's such an interesting thing.
well-
And Caroline is interested in both topics.
Yeah, for me, I mean, a loss is nothing more or less than a change in the relationship between some subject and some object. And that object can be as small as a pen, as large as a father, or it can be like a loss of your orientation to yourself or to where you are. And I think this poem likes its lostness in a way as much as it's sort of distinctly terrifying in a weird way.
Thank you so much. Max, followed by Amber Rose. Favorite?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out a classic, Christian Books, Eunoia, which in part because I had a great conversation about it during my office hour on Monday, and also because I think it really it goes a long way in sort of summarizing the account of contemporary poetry or experimental poetry that we want to give in this week.
Thank you, Max. Amber Rose, and then followed by Emma Wenberg, if she's willing. Favorite thing.
So Jason already gave a shout out to all of Tracy Morrison's work, and we heard a little bit of Chain Gang, but I'm going to give a plug for African. And I wanted to talk about that too, because a little differently than, do you want to play a little bit?
Yeah, should I play a few seconds and then you can comment?
Yeah.
When we were African, it all started when we were brought here as slut in Africa. It all started when we were brought here as land from Africa. It all started when we 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 were Africa. It all started when we were Africa. It all started when we were Africa. It all started when we. Thank you.
Yeah. We're hearing there are so many things that are coming out of the sound and so many connections. So you talked about one that happened in Chain Gang. Just in that piece that we heard, I heard Slavs come, I heard Islam come, I heard rearrangements of it all started in Africa when we were Africa. There are all of these different arrangements. And I think what I like the most about that poem is that because it all started is marking both a time and a place. When that's put into this vicious repetition and reworking and breaking down, she's talking about time, she's talking about language, she's talking about who we are, she's talking about history, she's talking about all of these things at once, and it's all kind of embedded in this time warp that she's doing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, poetry or poetry music or music can do things that other forms of communication don't or can't. I mean, this just proves it again, because it has all those disciplinary interests, categorical interests. It gets you to think, creates astonishment, does history. I mean, you know, it's really great. Thank you, Amber Rose. Emma W. followed by Erica Baum.
Yeah, I was also gonna say African. And just to expand on that point, like, I'm just so in awe of how it like refuses this linearity of narrative by offering us this like introduction and then not letting us leave. Like, it all started, and then we just have to keep sitting it, and it's saying like it's not letting us like get past that. And I think that there's a tie there to Via in how it's like offering us this first few lines of Dante's Inferno, and then we just are getting lost in that introduction.
So once again, loss and lost. Great, thank you. Erica Baum, followed by Allie. Favorite thing, Erica?
I'm going to mention Jordan Abel's A Place of Scraps.
Great.
I listened to the conversation that Al had with Amaranth Borsa, and I really appreciated the introduction to the work and the way in which this is a sort of conceptual process where they're mining, carving. It's an erasure work, but it also is. I studied anthropology in college, so the subject matter is really meaningful to me, and that's an interesting. There are many layers to this project, and I just think it's fascinating.
Great suggestion. Okay, Allie?
I've been thinking, as Erica's been talking about, like blackboards and palimpsests on desks, about just like writing on kind of in bar bathrooms and how like rich of a space that is for this week. But on another note, I'm really enjoying some of Fred Wa's work this week, particularly Selves and Between You and Me There Is an I.
Do you have Between You and Me There Is an I in front of you? Could you just read, I don't know, half of it? It's very short.
Between you and me there is an I. Between two stools the hyphen lies, the eggs in the nest, the blind in the fold, the hinge of the city, the door and the jam, the map and its edges, the wars I've not fought, the life and its lease, the rope but which end, the brink and disaster, the bank and the laughter. And it keeps going.
What's he doing with that? It's not quite a perfect list of binaries, but the binaries are problematic because they're not all binaristic.
Well, yeah. And what I really appreciate about it is the way in which it actually defamiliarizes extremely common pairings or cliches, to the point where as a reader, I have to be like, wait, like I'm forced to think about the sense of the use of that cliche. And it's just, so he's like reinvigorating just kind of common or overused language by kind of like separating those things, or like making us look at them kind of on their own terms in a way.
And that's where the I is located, between you and me. So between one element of the binary and the other element of the binary, the subject, the object, there is the real subject, which is the me, that is the poet, that is trying to figure out whether the binarism hurts or helps. You know, it's a lovely idea that the I is in the middle of a you and a me. That's great. Thank you, Allie.